A lot of the swim
Okay.
runs in UK are like, in the coast as opposed to in the lakes. So that was pretty great. To me, there's two iconic scenes of England, right? One is London and the hustle and bustle, and the other is this very country, farm, green sheets, stone walls, and that is the Lake District. So it is just iconically beautiful. It just a really, and it's not that hard to get to, right? You can fly into Manchester, take the train, take a bus. It's a very logistically doable route.
Welcome to the Low Tide Boyz, a swim run podcast. I'm Chip.
And I'm Chris, and this is episode 249 of the show. We're almost there, people. Almost there. We've got another race recap for everyone this week. Joining us to talk about their experience at the 2024 Coniston Swimrun, our longtime supporters of the show, and our friends Hannah and Nick Mathers, aka Team Stumble Till You Crawl.
Great name.
They finished third place mixed team at this event that took place north of Manchester in the UK. Be prepared to be both surprised and frankly not surprised by how cool the event was, what a great organization it was. And if you're listening to this and you get inspired, you're like, I think I want to go do it. Registration's open for their 2025 event. Link in the show notes. It's in September. September 21st is the race date.
Mm-hmm. Quite great on the timing with the race registration opening.
Yes.
Yeah, lovely race report and just general journey to catch up with Nick and Hannah, longtime Patreon supporters who we've seen around at many races.
Okay.
And it's always cool to hear a American's view and experience abroad with the swimrun community. And as spoiler alert, it's still great.
Yeah,
Doesn't
again,
matter if it's in the UK or Sweden or the US or
again,
wherever.
that's going to be the most unsurprising thing, was just how great the community was and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And when you've done 249 of these shows and a couple of your friends just randomly post on social media that hey, we did Coniston, we're like instantly sliding into those DMs.
And I was checking out because I was looking at all the race photos and just the awesome terrain that they got to traverse was really
lushness,
very lush. And we referenced many times, and rightfully so, Hobbit-like dwellings. And scenery there. Yeah, just a really sounds like a great time. And they got to experience the chilling waters of the UK Lake District.
That's true. And we, spoiler alert, we butcher a lot of British names, so we're sorry.
We should put out a we're sorry.
Sorry, but before we get to the interview, Chipper, give the people what they want. They want to know how your knee's doing.
Oh, they want a knee update. I'm happy to give a knee update. So yes, diagnosis was a dislocated kneecap. So cleared for running and related running activities. So obviously working with Coach Liz has a whole return to run protocol. I'm following the process. It started with 5 minutes walking, 1 minute running. Do that a couple times. And now today I was up to 3 minutes walking, 1 minute running. And I took a look ahead and it's 3 minutes walking, 2 minutes running. So now, and running on back-to-back days now. So it's really coming along nicely, trying to be very, listen to the body, making sure I'm not trying to rush or push anything. Cause obviously I want to be all healed up. But
no rush.
Things are going well.
Yeah. And we were talking about
happy
it.
about
So we did a team offsite, last week, and we were talking about it. And we're thinking that, the comeback will be Attila Whistler, perhaps, just to make sure we give you enough time to heal and just make sure that you're up for sort of the challenge. But no rush on the comeback.
Yeah, but regardless of my personal racing status at Attila Austin, the Low Tide Boyz will be there. What we're doing and how we're racing it or what the situation is still TBD. But yes, we will be there. But yeah, taking it slow and steady, and definitely not trying to rush. But hard to pass up and Attila Austin. So making sure that we're gonna be there. That's always a fourth year in a row now.
In other news, the last race of the European Attila calendar is taking place in Cannes, which that race looks amazing. It's it's sort of just on fire.
It's hard to tell if it's a race or vacation. It seems
something
it's
else.
indexing highly on both, apparently.
Yeah, it's something else. There's some really amazing teams showing up. Lars Ekman, I don't know if he was retired, but he's coming out of retirement. He's racing with friend of the show, David Pesquet, who's married to a Puerto Rican Frenchman. And they should have an awesome day. Hugo is going to be out there, bunch of teams. It's going to be really, really fun. Also, a really stacked women's field. So it'll be fun to see just like really competitive women's field for that one.
Always.
But yeah, that race, it's one of these years. Keep saying it.
We're gonna have to make it happen one of these years. And I like what to Low has been doing with the teams to watch kind of on Instagram. They're kind of hyping some of the teams around, not just necessarily the pointy end. So I like that they're doing that and bringing more attention to it.
And Hannah and Nick Mathers, aka Team Stumble Till. Very excited to welcome to the show Hannah and Nick Mathers. They have known them for a long time. They're our supporters on Patreon, all around awesome people, and they just went on a swimrun adventure. So, whenever on this show where we start for content, we're always looking for stories to share, trying to tell new swimrun stories. And you guys just went and raced Swimrun Coniston. So we're going to get into all that. But first of all, welcome to the show. Welcome to the podcast. How are you guys doing?
We're super excited to be here. Yeah. I haven't seen you guys in a while for Master City.
Yeah, Casco.
Yeah, we were just talking about it before we got on, right? It was like last year, Casco and Austin.
Yeah, the Casco that wasn't headed for this room were in Austin. So,
and actually I have a pretty funny story. I think when we first met you guys, Chipper and I were just like eating ice cream or something outside of our hotel in Portland.
As we tend to do.
And you came up to us and was like, you guys the Low Tide Boyz? We got to know you, but it was just, we're just trying to sit there kind of like minding our own business, but only in Portland, only on Casco weekend can people recognize us. So it was super fun. Now, tell us a little bit about your sort of swimrun history. You guys have done a bunch of races, but give us catch us up to the point where you guys decided it's like, hey, you know what would be super cool? Let's go over to the UK and do Coniston.
So the funny story about that, our first race was in England in 20.
Wow.
So this is a little bit of someone full circle.
Nice.
Where we can that story from your side, I think.
So we did Brecca out in Buttermere in, like Nick says, I think 2018 and our 16 firing. And that was so long ago. We did it in triathlon wetsuits that we cut up. And so you can imagine it. That was a trip and then I was false, but I'm actually from England himself. And so Nick, so I think Nick was trying to run away to kind of me to do an adventure while I still got to go see my aunties and my family and all that good stuff. So I suppose Nick was trying to get out of some of the family stuff and do something fun in the lake in England. And such. That's how we started to run.
And now you know there may have been a race in the US. I'm sure there was. Right? Casco probably existed down, but I keep saying with no concept of anything. You guys didn't exist, so there's no real resources.
Now we totally scoured the internet, especially with like what to wear under our wetsuits. Y'all should have. It was to me.
Like some jersey on under my wetsuit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Boom.
We've come a long way from then.
Yeah. So, I know we did nothing for 4 years. We did other stuff, but that's what we're on.
Yeah.
The pandemic year and the first Spanish, they were the only race that happened in 2020. And we lived in San Antonio, and it was all other events were canceled. And it was, here's the thing, remember that swim run thing we did 4 years ago? Let's power in a row. So we actually did. To some degree, and they've been every year since you missed one. We've done some other races since then. That's, as you ramp up, they do a couple more every year. And I think our limit is 2. Forget about the call-up 1 and 3.
3 is a solid amount of swim runs per year. We sort
That's
of
what my wife wishes our limit was.
Yeah, and then I see the swim run Lake James cap as well. So yeah, not too far. So it sounds like you've definitely hit up most of the U.S. circuit. But where did the Coniston plans come from? Was this another family family reunion proposal. We're like, oh, let's just knock a swim run out while we're over there.
Pretty much. So yeah, so we hadn't been to New York, might be able to be out in England for a long time. So it was yet another way to have like 2 adventures in one trip. But I have to say, Coniston was absolutely fantastic. And even if you didn't have the impetus to go visit family, I'd say Coniston might be the best race we have ever done.
Wow.
Just
Okay, that's high
unbelievably
praise.
long.
Yeah.
Now we haven't
Yeah.
done some of the ones in Sweden, but
Yeah.
oh,
And Coniston for us was a never was. So,
Okay.
but I mean, I don't think like that's saltwater and this is freshwater. At least for me, that's like a huge bonus. So yeah.
the thing was, we were, you guys might not remember, but we were talking to you at Casto last year about going out. And you don't remember clearly, the facial expression were just, a
lot of people talked. A lot of people talked.
I'm horrible with people that talk to me anyway. Chris is Chris
it's
has
not
PR,
for lack of love.
I know. Yeah, we were mulling it over last July, and so the rest of the year came on. I mean, the race director, we messaged him, and he was like, "I got films. I'm on out." So that's how we got there.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
I'm sure answer was, yeah, you should totally just go do that. Whether I remember it or not, that's probably what I told you to do. but- yeah. Nice. And it's no joke. It's a 45-kilometer swim run. It holds Attila merit race status as well. So it has the like official stamp of approval, obviously there. But what was anything particular that kind of was like calling you to this race out of all the ones that are available in the UK?
I think it's the season is great. September is fantastic. Or the fact that we got away from San Antonio, where it's still like 99 degrees right now, was definitely a deal.
And then again, the freshwater, right? A lot of the swim
okay.
runs in UK are like, in the coast as opposed to in the lakes. So that was pretty great. And the Lake District in England, if you haven't had a chance, the Lake District in England is like, to me, there's 2 iconic scenes of England, right? One is London and the hustle and bustle, and the other is this very country, farm, green sheeps, stone walls, and that is the Lake District. So it is just iconically beautiful. It just totally, and it's not that hard to get to, right? You can fly into Manchester, take the train, take a bus. It's a very logistically doable race. So that also helps.
I love that. So, we're going to have to put the disclaimer. This is going to sound a lot like sponsored content, but it's not. This is just people's opinion.
Yeah.
Coniston be like, but shout out to the race directors over there for putting on a great event. Again, this was a Brecca race. RIP for Brecca, and essentially, obviously the location is super conducive for swim run because it made sense for someone else to take it on. Yeah. So when you talk about the Lakes District, isn't this like Cameron Diaz when she goes to the cottage in the movie The Holiday, where it's like, kind of country, there's fireplaces, it looks like something out of, this Shire.
I've never seen my movie either.
Oh, okay. Oh, you should watch it. It's lovely. Great holiday.
So far for
Yes, there were plenty of fire cones. Yes, I would say what they said, and we talked about it, part of the running through the Shire, everything is holiday, and everything is old and stone and
mossy,
lush.
And I think, again, I don't say old lake. I mean, we definitely don't have that in the U.S. It's like that estate was owned by or whoever, and it's been here for 1,500 years. And,
Wow.
And is there a castle that Charlie has? I don't ever see a castle, but
at least a fort.
Yes,
Well, that's awesome. So you already, thank you for, we're going to ask like how hard it is to get there. Obviously, it shouldn't seem like it's too hard flying to Manchester. Easy to get there. Tell us a little bit about how you train for the race, or how did you prepare for sort of like the unique demands, basically racing in Middle Earth.
So we talk about that. So we've been ahead of ourselves a little bit about the course. It was surprisingly it was technical. Right, we didn't expect this, especially having a race Butter River 10 years ago almost. That was more, I would say, like or wise, right? All things like that. There was a technical element that we did not train for. So that's a little bit more stuff. Yeah, and this Alberto race is a little over 1,000 meters, which also, I don't know what you guys know about San Antonio. It's not the hilliest part of the country. Mostly we just tried to get as good as we possibly could, and you have a Stairmaster, a general kind of things. There's also 100+ degrees here all summer. Yeah, it was sort of general who's looking at confirming this, as good as fit as we can so we can get through. And we, in hindsight, neglecting technicality of the course that there's no way to know. So anyone listening to this wants to go next year, it's worth trying to do some technical running, just especially on town hills.
Yeah, I don't recommend what we did for dreams to anyone. Training in July and August in Texas just stinks. And so it was, Nick says that it was a lot of like indoor bike rides, indoor training, where technical rides, a lot of this Stairmaster. That would not, don't double the losing out part.
We do have a local and folks around San Antonio. There's probably 10 or so of us around the circuit. Yeah, there is like one place in the open water swimming, and you can see everybody out there. It's nice. The
Dane River.
Right. And, you'll be able to kind of like getting on that side of the lake and they'll pop out on the other spot, And so we would go out there. And that's sort of the traditional, even just, kind of keep looping things up, for, 3-ish hours.
Yeah.
That's sort of our base plan.
Yeah, and I'm
Nice.
assuming you probably get all the same looks that everyone else gets, right? It's like, what are these people doing?
We
you're
don't
out
get
there
them
training.
anymore.
Oh, nice.
There's enough of us out there, I think, and the group is sort of out there often enough that we don't, but it was that's what it's.
And it's my favorite story. The very first time when I was at Birdie Lake, this very kind woman, oh gosh, she watched this for a long time. She got Violet's lament for courage and came over to me and told me that in a triathlon I did not have to wear my shoes during the swim. She was worried about me.
She's like, hey, sweetie, just so you know, you can totally take these off.
Yeah.
And, like,
for lucky. What? Like, you have a chance to put them on after. Don't worry.
she's like, where's your bike, by the way? I don't see the bike anywhere.
It's at the bottom of the lake.
I love it. It's much just throw. That's the problem.
Hey, you know what?
That works.
That's always good, especially when it sounds like, one thing we talked about on the show, you guys listen to the show, is sort of like mindset going into this, right? So given sort of the limitations of where you are geographically to train for this, kind of like what was your sort of mindset going into the race? Were you guys just like, let's just go have a big fun adventure? Or were you like, we're trying to podium, a little foreshadowing, are we trying to podium this thing? Where were you sort of your headspace heading out there?
You would definitely go in and have a good adventure. So can we even, and we race enough races together that really, we haven't a race if we'd like put a download effort out and we didn't want to give or execute whatever for just we are at. And so that was the plan. And training and stuff goes sideways. Sometimes, and you're like, oh, I missed the whole week getting it doing. That was the main focus.
Yeah, I would say my goal is always, I always have two goals, right? So my first is not to get too mad at Nick, because that definitely happened. And then my second is to finish like happy enough that I'd like to do that again. Maybe different place, different location, but like what a good time. And, keep run something that's joyful and like fun. So we try not too hard to think about things like podiums or world points or all these things that would turn some run into something stressful instead of something fun.
And then we, transparency, when we usually some of the arguments we have or when I mention anything about, I think we're in whatever place, and then out of our conversation, that's where the yelling on the court's coming in.
That's where you fail the first part. Don't get mad at Nick, is when it starts to bring up what place you're in.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, excited to get into some of the race and, some of the local flair. I mean, obviously we know the UK swim run scene is certainly pretty strong. over there, a good contingent of folks. But yeah, how did the sort of race weekend and travel and everything go, and take us up to the lead of the race?
So we were walk through the timing of it. So we were pretty fortunate. I recommend anybody go out there has a bunch of ants still fueling, driving you up to the race course. So then you don't need this the other time where I was just feeling that. And from a logistics standpoint, it's pretty easy to find Manchester, get a car, or take public transportation. There was somebody that took a bus out that we were talking to in one. And for these things, it's not so US focused. Hannah was getting reading New York Times, and there's another bus, Hannah. We could have taken a bus.
It's red too. Look.
And they're double decker. They really are.
Just like in Paddington.
So we got up there right before the race. And we stayed, and the way the lakes are, there's all these towns. So they're called towns. And we stayed in the finish tower, which is Grassmere, and they're all bed and breakfasts. And some of them are hotel style, but they're all So we actually stayed at the race site, finished just because it was logistically easiest, but the whole community is all of not even a mile square. So you could swim, I'm aware, in there too, the finish, and that they shuttle you to the start. They have the hostel system that we already have in the US that we chose actually not to stay in, that it is basically like dorm room stuff. But a bunch of the British athletes all basically booked a bed and stayed in a bunk room. And their friends.
I did that in college, and yeah, I'm not trying to relive those glory days.
Yeah, bunking with me for even a few nights is enough for Chris, I think. Let alone we don't need to multiply that.
Not even bunking. Like I don't want you above me, below me. Let's just be like on the same level in different beds.
For us, so then Robert,
yeah.
In London, Grassmere, and so we just kind of wandered around a little town. It's you poke in the shops, and it's very a touristy town. And there are other towns along the lakes that also have public transportation. So anyone would come doesn't have to stay in Grassmere.
And just since I have the map up, there's some wonderful town names. There's Elterwater.
Oh, these are the.
There's Troutbeck. There's a Troutbeck Bridge, Ambleside, Waterhead. That seems like a pretty Hawkshead. I mean, there's a lot of Torver. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Right now, you're dying at you butchering those names.
That's one of our specialties here.
Hey, we've been mispronouncing towns and names, since 2020. So,
well, actually, if I put it, is it Ambleside? You guys know with Peter Everett? I mean, I made it on personally, but Peter's like it's
sure.
However old it is, that's the off there Peter Rabbit is.
Oh wow,
whatever. Comparing everything's Peter Rabbit in that town.
Wow.
You church holler, right? That's a very British name. So but that was Friday, right? And we did.
I love Saturday, about until morning. We went and did a bit of a shakeout. We were fortunate that they will let you swim in the rates at really any time. So they're pretty generous in that respect. The only thing I'll say is England is pretty careful about kind of cross-contamination. So they don't want you to swim from lake to lake. But as long as you stay in one lake, they're pretty okay with that. And so we were fortunate because we were at the race end, we basically did a last couple of legs backwards and then did them forwards just as a bit of a shakeout. So that was pretty kind of a good way to do things. And I'll say personally, it was a good chance to get in the water because I can be a little bit of a baby about how cold water can be. So it really helps to have that, experience it a day before. Don't just plunge into the water at race day and be like, oh my gosh. That was good because I will definitely do a full stop if I'm not careful in that respect. So that was nice. And then we found an easy lunch, normal stuff. And then that evening, the race director, obviously, you took your packet pickup type stuff. A lot of people hung out because Tweeties, again, the weather was fantastic. We got so lucky. And Tweeties, the host hotel, have a big kind of bar and green space. So a lot of the athletes who hung out had, had a drink. It was a nice opportunity to meet some people and just kind of chat about their swimrun experiences and get some insights for what they were planning for the next day, especially coming from America. Again, I speak a lot of the local athletes, whatever that is.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're part of our rule So
nice.
there wasn't any like a British envoy spot that was there. So I would hate to see, you kind of had a built in. I don't know you, but at least I have a little bit more in common with you, and you kind of can meet up and host it or.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, so
like
it's counter.
we everyone looks good in light blue. Now let me ask you. This is something we mention on the show maybe every week, just how great the swimrun community is, and done a bunch of races in the U.S. How similar? Because I'm always surprised how similar sort of the vibe is. I don't care where the swimrun is. Like the vibe seems to be just like the friendliest, nicest people on the planet just seem to gravitate to this thing. Was that, well, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what was the vibe when you were there?
They were saying, and everyone has much more charming accents.
That's bigger. There were.
And so we talked to the animal host, but everybody was just, milling and, coming by, especially in complete insane by.
Yeah, super welcoming community, right? Really willing to share their experience. Really, curious about your experience. So told. I mean, a breaker would be willing to beer with before race, for sure.
Yeah. What else? What else can you ask for? And I loved your point about just the shakeout and doing a little bit reverse of the course. Obviously, you two are very seasoned swim runners, but the value that you can get, especially with, I'm sure this is probably maybe one of the first times that you were like, oh, maybe this is a little bit more technical of running than we had anticipated, or getting acclimated to the cold water. I mean, that is just so invaluable type of activities to be doing. If you've done one swim run or 50 of them, it's still a great idea. What sort of takeaways did you get from that shakeout? Is that kind of when you started getting clued into the trails, or the water temp seemed to be not as much of a problem as you were thinking it might have been, or how did it play out?
I think the water temp was the most important thing. We got that left section is partly road, and you host amazing crushed gravel path. So we didn't know it was technically until the next day.
Surprise.
But it did give us the swim, and that's it. So abusing part of it. We both did it we could just do this sleeveless. And not sleeveless, but we don't need to wear long sleeves. And then when we're chatting with everybody, the sort of the pre-race elements come together. This was the sort of shocking clean to Hannah. Tell your story. It's weird.
So we're sitting there, we're just telling, you're talking about what we talked about, right?
Yeah.
Like, what gear are you going to do it tomorrow? We're sure you're going to do it tomorrow. Like, did some stuff, right? Super, super interesting conversation for anybody not doing
As
this.
our wives have pointed out to us.
For I'm going to do it in my, I always did this wrong. I'm going to do this at my Uto. I'm going to do this at my Uto. I do not have a camera tab. I do not have a thermal tab. Like, that's what I'm doing. And I'm basically, right, it's going to be great, right? And every one of the British athletes, gives me this look of aren't you going to be cold?
Oh.
And I'm like, oh gosh, am I going to be cold? And it was really funny to me because as an overarching huge generalization, and I apologize to everyone I'm about to offend, my Texas heart was warmer than their British hearts in these sweaters and these runs, because they then wore long sleeves with a door, I'd say, across the athletes. Many had thermal tops underneath, that type of thing, whereas
at the Phalo,
we're hanging them. Again, now, having said that, I will, even though they say Halo, I will say I wore surf gears on y'all's organization, which I have to say I absolutely do love. And Nick in hindsight wishes he probably.
There was the falling down story with the cold water that was
And not to say the water was totally toasty, but I was surprised that
we expect they run in the hard and tough and used to it. It's like he's called Bicky Every liar, and
and
it also just it's also a good point about hey, what we say is, oh, the water's cold or it's not cold, is just totally based on your own opinion. So go verify for yourself. And if you would have not tested, you might have overgeared and could have been too hot. But yeah, go see for yourself. And people's opinions are just that. It's their own.
No, see, it's there down in my head, and I wore my sleeves the next morning. Sure, the first thing swing.
No, but she rolled the first 34
Yeah, did you say you weren't going to wear? I'll let you talk me into it. No.
Well, you can always take them off. That's what I always say, right?
Yeah.
Now, with you wear, the water is cold. It's not was anywhere around it. So it kept telling us centigrade, and I didn't know what that meant. So it was cold. We wore like here makes the not a neoprene cap, but it's little. It's right. You know
Yeah.
that?
I know.
Yeah,
You know,
Exactly.
some of those.
Yeah, it's like the thin thermal cap that.
Yeah. And it does and it's not that you doesn't overheat if you keep it on your hands to the raw a little bit. That gives us more comfortability a couple of degrees. And you wore it for every swim. I took it off by the end. It's potentially cool. And I wore a cord because that's just what I had. So it's a little warm in Utah, but it was perfectly fine. The water is chilly there. They're all these super deep lakes, so it's cold. But you're right. Figure it out for yourself. That everyone else is way more warm than you, except for the Vax this time.
It's true about
They
that.
had ring sleeveless Utahs, and they just tore away from everybody. So
Well, they're
They're
spending
working
less time
harder
in the
than
water.
ever. Yeah.
one and two.
Awesome.
You got
Awesome.
excuses.
Well,
Yes, and every roll.
yeah. So it sounds like gear pretty conservative. Just use what you had. Did you any sort of last minute changes, like change your pool buoys or change your shoes you're gonna wear, or just kind of stuck with the usual program?
I'll say we started with the dual program. So like the Adidas Arc'teryx, Iris had the Ito, just honestly, the same thing I wore like James, the same thing I'm going to wear in a couple of weeks to Austin and that I wore last year, Austin. To me, this is like my swim run kit.
Dialed
other than
in.
my uniform.
Dialed in.
So I don't really change it a whole lot. So for me, no. What I will say now is I think we did get or me personally, I'll say that I got a little lucky with the shoes. In hindsight, I should have brought a additional pair of shoes that had a way deeper lug because in the course and been rainy and wet, I think I would have had a hard time on a muddy course, and it definitely had the potential to be a muddy course. Just worked out that it wasn't, but I didn't have an option because I didn't bring one, and I probably should have brought a different shoe as in just a contingency.
Right. Yeah, the Terex have a pretty shower low.
Yeah.
They're grippy, but you've a lot and it was muddy in a lot of spots, even though it hadn't been so much dry. We slipped around a little bit, but we also flew crested.
Yeah, you can't bring every pair of
Pushing
shoes you got.
No,
I mean, you could. Yeah.
So then the next morning, this is sort of the more interesting part of the whole thing, is so they were shuttled from to the start, and it stops at two of those other towns along the way to kind of murky worse. And everybody boards a bus and takes you down. And I think more everybody's chatting about, the energy sort of hyping up. And you get done this work, and there's not really much room to warm up. That's a thing to know. So for everyone, I'm running around this hill. It's a little dirty morning. Everybody's just running around the seal.
And this was the first time in the race where you effectively don't have a run one, right? So I think normally being able to do a tiny warm up, but normally run one is your average you get warm, right? But this run one was a whole 40 meters.
Right.
And so knowing that you're going to get in some pretty chilly water, doing a proper warm up is probably in your best interest, just so you start warm, because it's hard getting. It's hard to get warm if you start cold. So
Yeah, and it's just looking at the course map, the first swim 730 meters. So that's a 10-minute swim at least.
An overarching conversation about the course that it's the 10 runs, and that's an asterisk. But the first run is 40 meters, so it's really just right.
you still right.
Follow everybody, walk to the water.
Yeah.
Right, and it's sort of a big. It's over fastest space, Kiron, and it goes through 4 lakes, over 9 swims. So three swims at Coniston, which is one of the bigger lakes. Like I don't know from 3 swims in Lindenmuir, which is a huge lake, and then 1 each in the last 2, which is Rydal and Princeton. It's easy to remember because that's the last town. And then with various runs throughout, which we'll talk about. So everybody's coming together. They were really kind. They welcomed us from America.
That's reading it out.
We're brilliant. There's one other they did come over from Sweden.
Oh, cool.
Doing the right things to do to get points. He's working on world. he's going to get there, and by virtue of
He's last one.
where can I get to a race
Yeah.
that he wins for? Yeah, 50 race in England, right? That has points. So we can run through the course if you want and how it went for us.
Please do.
It really starts with this like everybody goes, some like cannon kind of thing. Like I said, it's 40 meters, so really it's the fastest team run, and everyone else is just stuck behind and walking down the water. And despite how run the race is being done, I use mine throwing like with the tenders through the thick part, not through the middle, to do pontoon sort of section of the keel. Like you have to put it on a certain way. And so I put mine on backwards. So it was never going to stay to my legs. So we get to the water. But now I need to caught up in the tether. Like, I need to take this off, so you disconnect the tether. But now we were literally the last people.
Oh, no.
But fortunately for my ego, anyway, we're decent swimmers and it's a long swim. So we kind of moved back out, and then it's a pretty calm swim, the first swim. However, it's sheltered. I'll say that what was a surprise for us is some swims were in glass, and some swims you thought you were in the ocean. And It really just depends the wind's like. And I don't know if it's always this way. And in summer, probably always. The first swim's really straight. I mean, you can see we were going. It was a clear day. And in the first run, or really second run, I guess, is all on some. We didn't yet think it was technical. It was really easy sort of pass. And
The run, to be honest, and that was really nice, like, to have a bit of a warm up. And then obviously the second swim is very much like the first, like really chill. And then the third run was also, pretty flat. It introduced the trail. So you get to start seeing the technical running. It was pretty rooty. It was pretty rocky, but it was still pretty flat. So it was kind of a nice, kind of like you eased into the swim run, right? Sometimes these things start off with a bending, whereas this, I would say, start off with kind of a really nice warm up in this really calm swimmers and calm running as well.
Yeah. No, the second swim was not calm. It's surprisingly, like, we just have this amazing swim and we basically, this same leg, you just come back the other one and it's windy and completely rough. And
wow.
It's just having this so hard. Like, you can't sight because the waves cresting over. But then the rest of it, says how they were in then the next a chill swim and goes fourth round.
And it's the 4K and you do the first half. And also then, that's not only when you have to wake up in this race, right? Because it's quite a technical uphill. It's just like the trail will wake you up because you go through all these brambles. And if for anybody who doesn't know what a bramble is, it's a bit like running through a rose bush. So it'll wake you up. Yeah. So it wasn't terrible, but I'd say that to me, in a lot of respects, was the hardest hill, even though it was 200 meters, so it's not the highest hill, but it was the most. The trail was a bit overgrown. It was fairly technical and still rocky, still rooty, but you can't really see your feet as well. And so that to me was the hardest uphill. But the thing I'll give it credit for is it gained a knock to you on the downhill because then it turned into this really like cool gravel path, this road. And so for all the work you had to do up, it was a super easy, just turn off your brain and let the hill do the work to come back down. So that was kind of nice.
And we're like, so I don't know anybody was running up that hill. Like, we didn't see anybody running up the hill until the team ultimately that second came tearing past us, and we're just like fighting our way through all these like sharp things. They just run through.
Wow.
Like, how are we? Forget how sharp it is, or forget how steep it is. It's just sharp. How are you running through?
Well, if they're local, that's Peter Rabbit country. Didn't Peter Rabbit like hide in the brambles and stuff from
And then their next swim was another 0-1, and they're all roughly the same distance. They're all somewhere between. They knew them long, but they're not short, which is the dumbest way to describe swim.
Well, they were all. I think the shortest. I think the shortest one was about a 550. The longest one was about a 1200.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a huge range. It's kind of pretty consistent. Which I'd say was nice for us.
Right. So we're sort of in the mix still. We're the teams that are running uphill and we're not gradually. We still see them again, but there's some other people who are winning the rest of the day. And then we get to the with the longest run. So that's 15, and it's sort of right in the middle of the race. And what it does, I don't remember the names of these mountains. Basically, on the elevation profile, that it's not. It looks like it's 2 bigger climbs, but it's really 4. And then kind of the profile instead of squished, you kind of miss all the little ones in there. And largely runnable except the steepest parts. I was surprised there was even, like, when I would call a traditional flyer. Of course, they have them in England. I said thing to do. So a lot of that was on this flyer, really.
Yeah, so this was really nice race. So the first hill was kind of technical up and then really kind of chill down. And then this was the opposite, right? Roads, like really easy navigation up. And then it was more technical running down. So it's kind of just the opposite scenario. So I seem like Nick's absolutely right. If you're a strong Larry, you absolutely can run this person up. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. And I think what's nice about all this is, like, as you get to the top of everything, you're going to like see out on this, like, you call it, you
That's
know,
cool.
where on the roof. Right, and it's just sort of like, it really is like you're riding through. And I'll describe it.
Let me
country.
ask you guys a question. It's probably a question that Chipper's thinking, but aid stations. What were we looking at? Were they plentiful? Did they have like bangers and mash and like fish and chips?
Beans and toast,
I'm gonna
Chris.
get banned. Beans and
The UK,
They
we're
totally
going to get hate mail from the UK.
They totally did have boiled chairs. Those were pretty great. I'll tell you, this is where I personally like name was end, right? So I would say the aid stations were well communicated in terms of the race briefing, right? They absolutely did what they said they were going to do. That's no question. What was surprising to me, and it's where I'm going to say, is they had, in addition to aid stations, they had checkpoints. And so at checkpoints, you're doing one of a couple things, right? They're taking your number, making sure that they're getting your way through range. But you're also doing things like do the biohazard check between the different lanes. So you're, making sure the plants on you, you're pulling their shoes. It's not as crazy as it sounds, but that's what you're doing, right? Because you don't want to anywhere. But I made an assumption every time we had a checkpoint, you were going to have like water and snacks, and that was not true.
yes.
So particularly in this next run, right? So in roughly, I think it's run 7, they have a proper aid station. They have potatoes. It had Jelly Belly, babies. It had all kinds of great British names.
Including precision, because precision is a big
Yes.
But what I recognize is that was going to be my last aid station into a 6.5K. And that's this fun.
With this steepest.
Well, it's the steepest hill. And so I would say that was like definitely a ropey hand a little bit. I was definitely looking at a pond, being like, do you think I could drink that pond water? I'm gonna do you think I could ask some hyper if I can share their directions for the day? And it was totally my fault. I didn't read that the checkpoints were not, and I just assumed the checkpoint was gonna have water and it didn't. And that would probably be my other piece of it. Is the rinse director is really clear. You have to bring your own reusable containers, and so he recommends cups. And don't get me wrong, we brought cups, but we also brought like a precision kind of flexible flask.
Yep.
And I would say your aid stations are so far apart, unless you're a camel, and there are those people, but that's not me. Like, I am the person who runs a 13K and has like a water every single mile. I should have still got my personal bottle all the way every time, unless I definitely knew when that aid station was.
Because that was one of our argument moments.
Never right. You go to the top of this climb. They never.
And I'm still arguing about the checkpoint 3 miles ago.
Yeah, well, obviously that was Nick's fault, so it's not your fault. Nick's fault.
Why did you put
You
this
should
here?
have told me.
Yep. So
And then we went a little order, not so much going leg by leg, but we hit Windermere through the longest run, and this is probably going to be true for everybody who does this course, is Windermere is a big lake, and it was definitely hard to swim. And you'd be running for so long, and then it's really cold. And it was this weird, like the direction, the course is really easy to sight for the most part, except at this one, where you have to go past these sailboats and then turn left. And the sailboats are going there. I don't think this is going to change them. You're swimming into the wind, into the rough water. And we luckily there were kayakers out there, because we would have just completely whisked that exit. She was on my right side, and all of a sudden Hannah and her would tether, like, stuff. So we know where it's just wrong. Said, you're going the wrong way. If it's over, I hear this one that's through his sailboats, with her buoy, whatever it is. And then that's where we go to get on the water, and it was probably the longest swim and the roughest and coldest at that point. But Hannah, as her surf here, is not a prod club, but it's going to see where it's going. And she hops right up and ready to go, and I stand up. But we're at this, it was like, I never had this before.
Wow.
I grew up as a swimmer, and like, just, we don't swim in cold water either. Yeah. You had a vestibular issue, and with the cold and dizzy, and then I lived like added it for the next run. Yeah, I kept everything all, fixed.
Wow.
Surfers are worthwhile. We're some other clubs in cold
Yeah,
water. I never had to
doesn't have to be surf ears, but yeah,
We prefer
still
it,
haven't
though.
seen a dime. Well, yeah, I mean that's a bummer that it kind of got called out like that. When that happened, once you did this orientation passes, did you kind of realize what was going on? It's like, oh yeah, like this is what I'm experiencing.
Oh yeah, no. As soon as I stood up, I knew what was going on.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was just takes, And then clearly it was happening to a lot of people, because then the volunteer and that place, it was really rooms. It was like, you're okay, this is happening to everybody.
Like you say that to all the Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the next couple of runs were pretty chill. Especially on the late pass. Outside us, really, this is where we started coming up on a lot of tourists. They're coming their tourist film. But there's a lot, there's a huge walking culture in England, especially in this whole district. Right, everyone is out, going for a hike, and they were the ones who are not used to people running around in wetsuits, with balloons.
Yeah.
So that was.
They are, as much as the next one was, right? They were super
No,
kind.
very kind.
Really, everyone was very, beyond respectful, right? There was, I don't know what to say here except saying it was just amusing, right? That the trails were open as opposed to it being almost exclusive with some runners. But, it also made it fun, right?
Yeah.
You got to hype out all the red and cheering. And they were just had no idea they were cheering for some run, but they were. So, yeah, it was good time.
It helps pass the time too, and kind of helps it move along a little bit. It's something different. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Never peaceful with face.
And so we no concept where we were in the race, other than every time we keyed down a climb, there was this other men's team that would just fly by us.
Oh my God.
And everyone was so much better than down to technical downhills than we were. So we're deep in swimmers. We'd sort of on the longer swims, we curve catch. It's weird to make your mark in a race on the swim. That it doesn't really happen, but we catch them or pass them on a swim. We'd run the same pace on the climb, and then on the set they would just go out and right by us, and that can hold out through the last big climb where there's a low netting not down. Which we talked about already, so we'll keep rolling that one. And then everybody passed this on the next downhill. There were 3 teams that were all kind of around us, and they all just sort of literally, skipped down the trail, and we're very gingerly walking.
Yeah, that home field advantage really pays off.
Well, naturally, then we get to the last swims. The last slides are really there. It's beautiful. Now you're in full lake district. You've come over the big climbs. You're kind of running through the towns are on one bank. You're on the other side, so you can see all the towns next to you. And there's a lot of people out. And then the swims there are colder water for some reason. I don't understand why. And brackets. Also, they're all really sheltered. So we were able to sort of move that through, some of the teams that we were sort of mixing up with.
There was night. I'll say to you, right, just to close it out, the race also is very generous in that the last 2 runs next to our side, the swims were pretty calm, and they were easy to study. The last 2 runs were also nice groove trails. And so, when you're getting really tired because the race is almost over, but not over, I know I have propensity, right? Like, when do I fall in a race? I fall in the last, like, or 3K or 3 miles, 5K, whatever you want to say. Whereas this got easier from a technical running perspective. It became these career trails. And so it was kind of nice that, you did all this hard work, so you did the middle part of the race, and then you kind of got to enjoy the finish, as Nick said, from a visual perspective, but also from a mental perspective, because it wasn't so like difficult. My stair wasn't hard, it wasn't so difficult.
And we're fortunate also. So there was a lot of solo athletes. So we kind of come back up with this one guy in the last swim that we couldn't see him then. And so we catch up there and we're just chatting. We're like, which event did you do? We're like, oh, you were the same race as this all day. We realized. And the two guys that we were like kept getting passed by at the end were really moving in the last run. And then
so we decided we had to move.
As long as this down, we're here. Well, like you're not gonna get beat by that. But so it's like, oh, so the three of us, we follows the line of being out of this. Yeah.
But never will tell you the funniest word. Well, so we'll close it out with this. And I'll say to you that the race pictures, like all the race pictures, right? They're always fantastic. It's one of the things I love about Swimrun, and that they're so generous with race pictures and beside nature. But so we finished, and this gentleman finished it, I don't know, let's say 2 seconds in front of us, right? And the photographer's like, you guys don't really have a finished picture, because he kind of like blocks your finished picture. So we run around into our finishes the time.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah, so you guys finish. Beast of a day, total distance was 45K on the count, on the website.
We watched like with the
everybody was tough too. So at the end of the race deck is even like probably 50s.
Solid.
Hey, 50K swim run. I mean, that is awesome. And you guys finished on the podium, which was, when I saw that, I was just like USA chant all the way. Was that, I mean, obviously we talked about it before. You went in, just wanted to have a good experience and all that. How did it feel to represent your country on the podium?
Cool.
It wasn't Paris.
Did you have the flag and everything going up? Yeah.
We didn't know where we had finished. Because we even told the aid station we were the 4th minutes team, like about before they climbed it. Well, we're mixing up with one or other teams behind us. We're like, well, we're in Burr Fun Day.
Yeah.
And then we couldn't, so we congratulated the teams that we met. They're like, we 0-1. And because we were staying at the venue, we're like, well, we're going to go take real showers, and then we'll come back and cheer for everybody else. And then I get a text from one of the teams we met. They're like, you guys are on the podium. You need to come back.
Nice.
Yeah, it's handed like for him in the shower, and they held the podium ceremony for us stupid Americans who were, that was really kind of them. Yeah. But we were shocked. It was really fun. We have not done the course justice the way our instruction had to. Absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, and you get nothing in America like it. And the Orcas probably runs in the same amount of elevation, but it doesn't mud. And just like,
this is beautiful. Like, different races are beautiful in different way. And this was just so iconically English, which is really fun.
There's heat everywhere. And the other thing that we didn't mention is just a weird phenomenon in England. There's gates everywhere that you can run. Like this, it's like public access to everybody's farmland. And that's where some of these trails go. So you have to make sure you open or close the gate behind you so that farmer sheep don't get into somebody else's farm.
And I really screwed the lock so the next team.
I think it's still free.
Well, it sounds like an amazing day.
Yeah, for sure.
Highly recommend.
Yeah, I guess that was going to be kind of the final question. Like, everyone's listening or watching this on YouTube. Thumbs up on recommending this race as a destination race for people?
Absolutely. Logistically, it's no more complicated to get to, I'd say, than Portland or Orcas or Mackinac. Like, it's the same logistics even potentially here, because there's much better public transportation every now and then. It's just is what it is. And the cost is probably roughly the same too when you factor. It's nothing like we asked.
The dollar is also super strong against the pound right now.
Nice.
I love it. This is great. This is great. Well, Nick, Hannah, this has been awesome. Again, when I saw that you guys raced this, and I was like, perfect opportunity to share a new type of swim run story. The travel swim run, adventure swim run,
Vacation swim run, yeah.
Foreign country vacation swim run. Thank you guys both so much for sharing your story with us. Thank you for supporting us on Patreon. And we look forward to seeing you in Austin here in about a month or so from recording.
Awesome. Thanks, Ves.
That's it for this week's episode. Thanks so much for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave a rating or review, since that's the best way to help other people discover the show and the sport of swim run.
Check out our website, lowtideboyz.com. That's boys with a Z, for swim run resources, including gear guides, tips, how-to videos, and so much more. Make sure to check out our meme page at The Low Tide Boyz on Instagram. If you have any questions or suggestions for the show, send us a DM or email us at lowtideboyz@gmail.com.
We'd like to thank Riding Easy Records for our show music, and of course our wives for their support and tolerance of our swim run and other activities.
Lots of activities.
Lots of activities.
Finally, you can support our efforts on Patreon. Until next time, get out there and go for a swim.
Then a run.
And then a swim.
Then another run.
Then another swim.
Then run some more.
Just keep going.
Let's go.
And then stop at some point because,
And fuel. Don't forget to fuel.
Gotta fuel
Of
too.
course, yes.